Hey everybody, it's Linda with Ink Stamp and Scrap. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's our weekly live where I show you tips and techniques and tricks to maximize the paper crafting products that you have. Let me just bring up the comments here so I can see who's joining us. There we go. All right. Hey, Deborah, nice of you to join us. I'm glad you're here too. All right. So today is the first in a series of Tuesday videos that are going to be all about holiday cards. I'm going to unload on you my fastest tips and tricks to make your holiday card making the most efficient that I can. I'm also going to show you, we're going to showcase a bundle each time so that you can see different ways to use that bundle if you happen to own it. If you don't, everything I'm showing you today, you could use with any other stamp set. We're just using stamps, inks, paper, and making sure we maximize our scraps and get the most out of all of our products. All right, good afternoon, Sue. Nice of you to join us. All right, I'm not going to be able to say hello to everybody because I do want to dive in really quickly. I do want to mention that I still have a few celebration items. They retired as of September 30th. So I do have a few celebration items that are still for sale. You'll find them in yesterday's blog post. So if there's anything you're interested in, grab them quick. I'm down to one or none of everything listed there. So give it a try. Hope you can get what you want. And let's get on with making our cards. All right, I seem to have lost. Okay, hang on one second. Lazy Daisy Stampers. Hi from Texas. Hi there. All right. I'm going to just hang on one second. I'm just going to bring this up for a second, just so you don't have to get vertigo while I try and figure out what's going on here. Because I have to go back on my phone. Nope. What is going on here? Sorry, guys. My phone seemed to have lost connection. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, now it's up. Okay. So we are going to use the whimsical. I know you can't see anything yet. I just have to bring up the camera, but we're going to use the Whimsical Trees bundle today. And I started playing with it, getting ready for this, and I just couldn't stop. So I know the preview or the title of this is like 7 ideas, but you're going to get more than 7 because I just couldn't stop making cards. All right, so now let's there we go. All right, let's go like that. And okay, there you go. So this is the Whimsical Trees bundle that is in the holiday catalog. And it comes with all of these beautiful stamps as well as all these great dies. And I have actually separated these dies because they don't fit on one magnetic sheet. I get these from Stampin' Storage. I'll leave a link below the video if you're interested in getting any of their products. Side note, I do have it is an affiliate link below. But these ones are all made to cut the various stamp images. So they're going to do your outline cutting for you. And these are extras, and there are lots of them. There's 7 extras. So these give you a really pretty like trim on your tree. This makes a great tree, and you can cut it, and then you can do inlaid dyeing. So you get 2 colors from one die. I'm going to show you that today. I have this trim to show you. I didn't do the smaller one because it's the same. These are the only 2 that I haven't gotten to play with yet. I definitely want to. I love that they have like they're going to cut edges so that your trees have some character to them. And I like that they have the really long stems. And then these stars and ornaments here are awesome to decorate any of the trees. This little scallopy guy cuts out your holly right here with the cute little berries. And then this one cuts out the ornaments. The rest of them are trees, but that one's not. These 2 are a little bit not so obvious unless you memorize what stamps you have. I'm not going to show you the stamps because there's only one left and they're just red rubber. They're basic. I will, well, since we're doing lots of tips and tricks today, I will point out though that I do keep the whole outside. If you haven't seen the way I store my stamps, I keep the whole rubber that comes around them, and then I use it just like this one to stick in the holes and make sure that I picked up all my stamps when I'm cleaning up and getting stuff ready to put away. So that is tip number 1. I'm not going to count them today because is going to be a lot. All right, so let me show you. Let's see, we're gonna do this card first. So I'm gonna need my stamparatus to do that. So these are, we're gonna make a different card because I thought, why not? Why do I need to copy exactly what I made in my sample? So these are two of the cards that I made with the ornament stamps. And I'm gonna show you, you can see they have the same layout to them. This one is monochromatic. I just used a real red stamp pad. That's it, I was done. This one I used blends our alcohol markers to color in. I'm going to do the same thing on the one I'm about to make, but we're going to use a whole different color scheme just to mix stuff up. So this one is Flirty Flamingo, Just Jade, and Pool Party. And this time we're going to do Pool Party, Granny Apple, and Poppy Parade. So we're just going off the rails here with our holiday colors. And then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for using the Stamparatus too. Excuse me. So I have this all lined up and kind of ready to go. So this is ultimately going to be my mat. I'm just going to leave it over here. To create this card, I'm just using a quarter sheet of basic white cardstock. And actually, I'm going to shift to the, well, no, I'll do this first. And I already cut from the rectangle stitched dies. Let me show you here. Because we're going to use these two a lot as well. From the rectangle stitch dies, I already cut the second smallest one here. That's what's there. And I kept the frame. And the reason that I kept the frame is I'm trying to teach you things today, not only just to make a card, but also to make lots and lots of cards, to mass produce your holiday cards. And this is one of my first mass production tips. When you are going to do a lot with the same die cut, cut a frame and put that where you want it on your stamp, in your stamp position tool. Then put the magnets down on the frame. What that allows you to do is pop your shape in right there. I'm going to use my Tuxedo Memento ink. I'm going to slide this down a little so it's still in camera, but I can get to this. I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm just going to set it down and pick it back up. Now, if I needed to go again because I wanted it to be darker, I'm happy with that. But if I had missed any of the letters, I could go back again really easily. But the nice thing about having it right there in that frame is that you can just pop it out. I like to use my take your pick tool to pop it out. And now I can just bring, oh, sorry, they're mowing the lawn today. I can just bring this in and put the next one in, and I can ink up my stamp and create another one. So it goes really fast. So this is definitely mass production tip number one. All right, but we have our greeting, and I'm not going to need to do this again. So I'm going to move these aside, keeping my magnets apart. I don't need this frame right now, but I save it. I save it with the dies just so that I don't have to create one every time. So I'm going to use that, and then I am going to turn this around because I've already preloaded my ornament stamp. I just have to remember which line I lined it up with. So I'm always trying, when I put my stamps in my stamparatus, I always try to line them up with one of the lines on the grid. It just makes life easier. So it looks like I was quarter inch over. So it looks like this is where I was going to start. Yep. Okay. And that's not lined up anymore, but that's okay. As long as I'm holding the other magnet in my other hand so they don't come near one another, we're all good. So I'm going to make that straight. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go here because the ornaments are going to be here, and I don't want to have any problems. Actually, I could probably go here and here and be really sturdy that way. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up. Oh, that's really inky on one side and really not on the other. Well, let's see how it goes. I didn't ink too hard. Oh, I didn't get the lines at the top. Better. But we need to ink these up a little better. What's going on there? Of course, because I'm on TV. There we go. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out and walk it over one step to the left. I'm going to ink up my stamp again and see if I do a better job this time. I'm going to bring it down so it's going to be perfectly in line with the last set. And there we go. That's how I get all the ornaments all the way across. So I'm going to keep walking this across. And you can do this and make vertical objects as well, because you can walk down this side. That is one feature that the stamparatus has over some other tools that you use. The other thing is that because you can put the stamp grid on either axis, that gives you 4 preloaded stamps if you want to, because I have 2 here and I could have 2 over here ready to go. So it does make, once you're set and ready to mass produce, it does make it really easy to use this. All right, I don't like that. So I'm going to go back in. That's better. Then we're going to move it over one more time. I think that's it. Nope, I went too far. That's so. There we go. Can always check. You just don't want to touch your stamp to the paper until you're committed to it. Here we go. Okay. Nice. Okay. So that's what I want this to look like. I'm going to go ahead and color it, and then we'll cut it down to be able to fit our card. Again, if I was going to mass produce this is a really easy card to mass produce. I could put another piece of cardstock in and literally go back the other way if I wanted to. I'm just going to put this back in the main spot because it'll just make it easier. And I'll be not going far. Okay. All right. So now I need my scratch paper. I don't need my ink anymore. I need to color these in. All right. So what I'm going to do, you can see in this one that I colored, I thought, well, what if I just do each grouping in a different order? And I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So this time we're going to try coloring all the groupings the same way. So for instance, this is the Poppy Parade Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to do all of these guys in this marker. And I am admittedly not a coloring professional by any means. I love that the alcohol markers just leave such a smooth layer of color. I love that you can build them, but I'm just not the greatest at making shadows and all that stuff. I mean, if the stamp itself has shadowing to it, I can figure out what to do, but coloring is not where you're going to get lots of tips and tricks from me. So we're just going to go across. But can you imagine if you were making these for friends and family for the holidays? Say you had to make even like 50 of them. We'll pick a big number. It wouldn't be that bad to stamp all of them. And then, over the course of whatever TV shows or streaming shows that you like to watch, a few hours of those, and you would have these all colored in. And then you could cut them, and then you could start assembling your cards. So it's pretty easy to have a coloring option for your mass-produced cards. You just have to kind of stage how it's going to work. The biggest thing you want to remember when you're doing mass producing is you want to think about your project once you know what it's going to look like. Once you have a sample, a final sample, and I recommend you literally make it exactly how you're going to do it. If you get done with a sample and you're like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to use this color instead, make it with that color, double check, make sure you like everything about it, and then start your mass producing. So that's definitely step one. Make a model and make sure it's exactly what you plan on scaling up to 20 or 30 or 50. Then do your cutting. Sometimes your cutting is going to be a double step, like if I was making this card. So I would cut all of my quarter sheets, and then I would cut my card bases and I would die cut my layer for my greeting and all that stuff. And then I would stamp the ornaments and the greetings, and then I'd color. And finally, I would assemble everything. And yes, it's going to take you a while to do, but it's fun. And it's even more fun when you hear from your friends and relatives how much they appreciate that you took the time to make a card. And I'll tell you, if you do decide to do some coloring, that is usually when I get the biggest wow. If I personalize the card, cut out letters that are personal to the person, or if I color, people will say, "Oh my gosh, did you color every single ornament?" And I say yes, and then they appreciate it even more. So don't hesitate, because then you're really showing somebody how much you care doing a little bit of coloring. Yes, I got a little out of the lines, but I am not going to worry about it. I could use the color corrector and pick it up, but I'm just going to let it go for today. All right. I cheated a little bit, and on the Poppy Parade, the measurements of this layer, which will be in the download tomorrow morning, are 2 3/4 by 5 1/8, which means I need to make this 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So I know there's a couple things I know about cutting this. I want the ornaments, I want these all the way off the top. So I'm definitely going to cut them all the way off the top, but I am going to make a couple cuts because I don't want to go too far down. I just want to make sure, there we go, that all of them are off the top. And then since this is 2 3/4 over here, I want to take 1/8 off. So I'm going to go 2 5/8. So 2.5 and then up 1/8 of a mark. And that's going to be this layer. So it's going to fit on that Poppy Parade layer really nicely. Now what I want to do is ultimately I want to be at 5 inches, but I don't want to cut all those off and end up with a bunch over here. So I'm first going to just cut down towards the edge of this one. And I might cut it off a little bit. That's okay. I know ultimately I will probably cut these off a bit. So now let's go for 5 and see where we land. I'm only going to cut this one off a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and go for that. There we go. So if this is a card that you're planning to mass produce, this step might take you a little while. You might want to set a couple evenings aside to do your cutting, just to make sure that you have enough time. And that's the other reason why I'm starting this series now, so you guys can pick what you want and you have time to copy things if you'd like to, or change them up a bit, but still make them your own. Here we go. All right. So this layer is ready to go. And now all I have to do is use my liquid glue and my dimensionals to put everything together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some liquid glue. Oh, 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 oh. Maybe I need a new one. Let's see. Oh, I think that takes it off. I can just feel like it's got like a little sticky plug there. All right, you get another tip. Let's use Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to show you how I have resolved it. Sometimes not, where'd it go? All right, hang on. Oh, seriously? All right. Back to plan A. We're going to use a new liquid glue. I will save my tip for the next time, and I will find my Stampin' Seal. Not sure where it is. And then we will go from there, because I planned on gluing this card. All right, so here we go. Whoa, brand new bottle, kind of heavy. All right. This down on here. And remember, it's only 1/8 of an inch border, so it's going to be pretty tight. So I line up the top, the bottom, and the side, and that looks pretty good. I might move over just a smidge, and there we go. All right, so this layer is ready to put on the card. This one I'm just going to use dimensionals. I don't need this, but I do need my card. I actually think I'm going to take, let's finish this all the way off, because the advantage to for me doing a video like this is I'm getting ahead of my holiday cards too. All right, so this one, one of the greetings says, hang on one second, let me get it in there. It says, may the love of the season warm your home and fill your heart. There we go. All right, so that's going to go on the inside. And then let your heart be light is on the outside. And this is all going to get dimensionals. This one's going to get 3 because it's not that big. Put the top on this so it doesn't get icky. Throw that one away. And then this one's going to get more. The other thing that you want to do is when you're ordering your products or figuring out what you need, make sure you don't run out of things like dimensionals. I like to use a lot of them, so I stock up on these puppies. I stocked up on them a lot during celebration. It was a great time to stock up on my basics. So now I know I have scads and scads of white paper and dimensionals. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I love a good white card. Hi from Georgia. Wow, Rebecca, nice of you to join me. Thank you very much. All right, so here we go. This one's going right here. And then I have my cute little skinny one here. And that's going at the bottom. And yes, we could add ribbon and bling and all sorts of stuff. But remember, these are mass producing cards and I want you to be able to get them done quickly. So we're not going to do a lot of embellishing today. I find a lot of you, I've been asking in my, I just got, oh, hi Nancy, that's awesome. I've just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, well, it'll come back. I was reading Nancy's comment. All right, so let's look again at the cards with the ornaments, different things that you can do, same layout. So this one is Poppy Parade, Pool Party, and Granny Apple Green. This one is Jade, Flirty Flamingo, and Pool Party again. And then this is just monochromatic. I used Real Red, but you could definitely use any Christmas color that you wanted to. Hey, Gloria, nice of you to join us. Thanks. All right, so here we go. Let's move on to the next card. So that's, I'm not even going to count. I just know you're going to see way more. All right, so I really fell in love with the trees. I loved stamping with them. I enjoyed the ornaments. I loved the trees. I'm going to show you how I made my little trunk. That's what I'm looking for, tree trunk. So let me show you a couple more with this tree that I absolutely loved. And then we're going to recreate this guy. So here is this one. And you can see in the background, I embossed this with the evergreen embossing folder. It also comes with a snowy combo. So it's only a 3-inch embossing folder. So I just ran it through twice. And it really didn't leave much of a mark or anything. I mean, you can't even see like where I cut it off because it just is kind of a repeating pattern. The ferns are everywhere, and I just thought it made a good background. So this is Just Jade and Real Red, and these are the Real Red rhinestones. That's a great economical. If you want some bling on your card, that's a really great embellishment to consider because you get a lot. It's one color. Build your card around some kind of red bling, and you're good to go. This card is just a really, really simple card. I stamped the tree in Night of Navy. I stamped the ornaments in jade, and then I just added with a early espresso marker the trunk right here and just used the joy stamp. And then inside I used that greeting that we used on the first card. What did I put inside here? Just so you can see. Oh yeah, same one. I just moved it around. I put it in the center if it's a year where I'm going to say, Dear, Jill and John, Merry Christmas from the Bartolucci's. I'll put the greeting in the middle. If I'm more just when I was sending a lot of like work related ones, I would put the greeting more towards the top and just sign, from the Bartolucci family, and I was done. I don't like to leave a space that looks like it should have been used. As you can see in this card, it kind of looks like it kind of begs to have something written here and something written here. In this case, it just needs to be written there. So that makes sense. And then I also did this tree card with Balmy Blue, Misty Moonlight, and Night of Navy. There's the little tree trunk in the marker. These gems are from the holiday rhinestones, so you get less per color, but I think that you could probably mix and match. I mean, you could put a green one there and it would be just fine. Oh, and I didn't put a greeting on the inside of that, but I did put the home and heart or love and home greeting up at the top. All right, so let's do this one. That's those. And let me show you how it all comes together. So all you need is an 11 by 4¼ piece of basic white, scored at 5.5 and folded in half, and then a piece of 4 by 5¼ basic white. And we are just going to stamp away with shaded spruce for starters, and then just jade and mint macaron. So let's bring in, actually, it's okay there. So I love this whimsy looking stamp. I don't know why, I just fell in love with it. So this starts the card. I don't put it right in the center when I do this one. Sometimes I went a little to the right, sometimes I went a little to the left. I just don't want it to be like perfectly symmetrical. You want it to look a little bit off, if you will. And then so the shaded spruce is the middle tree, and it's also, let me just grab a rag to clean off my stamp because I just remembered my Simply Chamois is in the sink soaking. There we go. So I don't want it to look like this is the middle and then this and then this. I want it to be a little more freeform. And to do that, if you start with the biggest one a little bit off, it works. All right, so there we go. There's our greeting. There's our tree. Now let's go for the Just Jade tree. And I do see my little mistake of shaded spruce, but I think I can, man, it's just on my fingers. I think I will be able to use the other trees and cover that up. And if not, I'll show you my favorite Amazon tool for getting rid of mistakes. All right, so we're going to put this one. I probably would have stamped it in that vicinity, but I really wanted to make sure, yep, see, mistake gone, that it was covering that. And then we're going to stamp this one over here, and I'm going to put this one up a little higher. Oops. Or try to. I like to use my grid paper to make sure things are straight. It just makes me happier. There we go. And I'm okay that it's off just a little bit. That's fine. And then the last color that we're going to use is the mint macaron, and we're going to do the little tiny tree. And the thing that's fun about using the lightest color last is it kind of, if you're in the same color family, you don't have to do masking, which is a really easy technique. And I do have videos about that. I'll link above and below. But since it's the super light color, it almost looks like it's in the background. Oh, gosh darn it. That's what I get for chit-chatting. I should have checked this. Yeah, I just inked this. Okay, let's try this again. This one, yep, this is the same. Okay, real quick, because I want you to get what I was telling you about, because that's the coolest part of this card. So I'm going to open these up super fast. And put that there, and that there. I remember thinking to myself, if I re-ink this, I'm going to need to remember to stamp off. And I didn't. All right, so darkest tree, a little bit off center. Leaves me my space for, now I know how I can go with my greeting. That's the other reason that I stamp the big tree first. Then we stamp the greeting. Then we stamp the other tree. I don't have any mistakes to cover up. So we can just stamp one a little bit low and stamp one a little bit higher. And I'm going to go over here. And then we're going to take our mint macaron and stamp it off and then stamp it in there. And see how it just fades into the background because it's all the same color family. You've got the greens, so it helps it to just kind of fade into the background, which I just think is so cool. So it looks like the little trees are farther into the forest. All right, let's get our trunk. So it's super easy. This, to me, this just looks like a bunch of W's or M's. And so that's all I thought about when I made the trunk. So I'm just using the fine tip of my early espresso marker towards the center, and I'm just going like that. And I just do like 2 or 3 and I'm done. I don't know why that didn't have a good hump, but anyway. All right, so there we go. Done with my trunk. Now I can use my holiday gems. I'm just going to use the dark green in these holiday gems is shaded spruce. So I'm going to take a medium one this time. I took a big one last time just to show you that you could use all of the ones in that color. And there we go. So we have a beautiful green card for the holidays. Close these up, and all I'm going to do is take that 4 by 5 1/4 layer, put it on my card, and I'm done. So this is the one we're going to layer. All right. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at comments. Rebecca, I'm glad that you learned how the stamparatus works. Most of the functions of the stamparatus are similar to any other stamp position tool. There's just a few extra things that you get with it. All right. And I will link my store in the comments below if you would like to support me and order any of your holiday items from there. I would appreciate it. Okay, so can you see that I got quite a bit of stuff there? Now I remember what my train of thought was. My train of thought was I was going to show you my favorite non-Stampin' Up! Correcting tool. And it is the Tombow sanding block, the mono sanding block from Tombow. I will make sure this is linked below because how cool is this? Okay, there's a lot of marks here because clearly I really stuck my fingers in it. But the cool thing is this just slowly sands away microscopic layers of the cardstock. And eventually it will be nice and white again. I might not be able to get the green on the edge gone, but I certainly can clean it up quite a bit. That's probably the worst place to have gotten ink is where the 2 layers touch, but you can see how much better that is. So I definitely recommend that you have one of those, and I will link that below for sure. All right, so here are the tree cards. This is the one I created before, and this is the one that we just created. All right, moving on. What other goodies do I have to show you before we create the last card? Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining us. Yeah, the sanding eraser is my favorite, Sue. All right, so remember when I was going through the dies, there's a whole slew of them that cut the stamped images out. And by the way, you could definitely, if you decided to create this card right here, if you wanted to step this up really easily, you could stamp all these on scratch paper, die cut them all, and then add them to this layer, and that would step this card up immensely. It's just a lot more time, which is fine if you're not making a lot, but not something I would do if I was making, 50 of the same card. That's just more die cutting than I have interest in doing, but by all means, you do you. All right, so these dies are the I always call them the extra ones because they don't go with any stamps, but they're very wonderful to use. So this is the one with the inlaid. So I cut this once with the shaded spruce, and then I cut it again with the bedazzled paper from Celebration. You could use any glitter, glimmer, foil kind of paper to get this effect. And then this is the tree trimming, the tinsel-ish look. Not really tinsel, it's more trim. The trim is a single die, and then this tree is a single die. There isn't a trunk, but I like having one on my Christmas tree. I mean, a lot of them have them built in. This one just didn't, and I felt bad for it. So I just cut a little piece of early espresso out to make that. And then this die is from the So Sentimental or So I think that's it. The So Sentimental frames. You get all these scallop rectangles, and then you get these odd stitched dies too that work wonders when you're just looking to layer your greetings. You can see, let me show you. I also used the frames on this card, and actually, I'm going to use the frame on the next card, and I also use the frame on this card here. All right, so let's move on. So that was just an extra, like I said, I started playing and I just kept playing. And now let me show you this last card that we're going to create. I'm actually not going to make you watch me put every single ornament on. We're going to partially finish this card. We're not going to completely finish it. But I do really like this look. I know a lot of you, I love the plain flat white. The more white, the happier I am. I'm good with this much white, but I know some paper crafters like lots of color, and they don't want to use their cardstock off. They still want to use white. They just like to make layers that give a pop with your stamps. And I wanted to show you that you can create a background layer with the stamps included in this bundle. So we are going to use what is supposed to be like lights or ornaments, and we're going to make, thanks a lot, Kathy. We are going to make the background for this card. So what I have is the second largest scallop frame from that So Sweetly Stitched. That's the name of those dies. And then I have a piece of basic white that is 3 5/8 by 2.5, and that fits in there really nicely. I have a piece of cardstock that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have my card that is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5 and folded in half. Woo, got through it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make the background. And that is going to use this stamp right here. And we are going to use our Magenta Madness. I just thought it was fun to have Jade and Magenta. They are two of the ink colors that will be leaving us mid 2022. I knew they were colors that would go together well because they are in the same ink color group, and that's why I chose them. All right, so first thing I did when I was stamping this is I tried to make, I tried to make a triangle act like a rectangle. So I stamped around and then I'm just literally recreating what happened. And then I got here and I'm like, oh, how am I gonna? And then I gave up and I just decided that it doesn't have to be a single layer of dots. It can be a double layer. And once I made that choice, I wasn't so worried about stamping around. And because I didn't worry about single layer or double layer, it made it a lot easier to just create the dots. And you'll see so some of the dots are super close together and some of them have good spacing. So what I did is when I got my first coverage, I just kind of went back and made some random spots of dots that were really close together because I added a stamp, and then I just stopped because you could just go nuts on this and end up with just a piece of magenta cardstock. So there is my speckled background ready to go. And now we're going to create the tree using the Just Jade and the other layers that I spoke about that I put somewhere. Oh, under the card, of course, just to hide it on me because I do that to myself all the time. All right, so this doesn't want to pick up. Man, I have a lot of green on my fingers. Let's hope we get through this card without making a mess. Okay, so this layer is just going to go down here with some dimensionals. This one is going to get glued on. And I have already pre-cut the ornaments and the star. So I'm just going to stamp the tree, add the trunk, and show you how to I'll show you how to use glue dots to get those ornaments on. There's just a couple tricks for doing it that should help. Leave a note in the comments. Even if you're on Team Replay and you've made it this far, thank you so much. Leave a note in the comments and let me know if it would be helpful for